Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry. So there is a show today that is just all Q&A. Hot seat, I'm on the hot seat, but I'm also hot about a couple of things that I want to just really talk about in terms of PR. What are the current trends and what are some of the things that people are doing that I see is not right and they need to change? Not that I'm ranting, but I may rant a little bit, but put me on the hot seat, ask me anything. PamPerryPR.com is the website to go and get the 7 things the media wants if you want to get on TV. So we'll come back right after this.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So this is Friday, and we're really today going to be talking about how to get out there, get known from the publicist's perspective. And you can ask me any questions over here. We're live streaming on YouTube. We've got the Ready, Set, Go Speak community, which you can join that readysetgospeak.com. And then also over on Facebook with the Speakers Magazine page. So I'm going to give a little bit of my backstory about how I got started so that people can kind of see, if you're new to me, what is this woman talking about? Why is she a PR guru? What is publicity? Do I need it? How do I get it? All that kind of stuff, right? So I'm going to open up the chat over here to the side so I can see the comments, private comments, and also the comments from you guys. But let me just say right off the bat, there's a couple of things that as a publicist, things that are irritating to me now. And I know we live in a pay to play world. And I know that, people want results. And this is the main thing. And I've been doing this for over 3 decades. I just turned 64 last Sunday. Yeah, last Sunday. And so I've been doing this for over really 30 years. But it's been a part of my career for a long, long time. I've majored in journalism when I was at Wayne State University. My first job out of college was working at the Detroit Free Press. But even while I was at Wayne State, I worked at large ad agencies as an intern. And then also I worked at the school newspaper. I was the ad director. I worked at the radio station. I worked for our public radio station as a news director. So I've done different things and also worked in television. I won an Emmy. But I don't say all that to brag, like, oh, this is just the trail that I've been on for the last 3 decades. So what I'm seeing now in this internet world, in this online world, that people want the magic to happen for them right away, right? Like, oh, just wave a magic wand, Pam. Okay, you got a couple of decades or so to really put in the work. And I always say either you wish for it or you work for it. So people who are in my Ready, Set, Go Speak community, they get leads every week. They get media, they get training, they get documents like this, right? That are in the Branding Accelerator course. This is 130 things on how to succeed online. And this is content, it's a checklist and then there's rationale. But listen, I'm not going to read it to you. This isn't like, Mr. Rogers, I'm reading you a nighttime story. You have to go in. And I always say you either work for it or you wish for it. And if you wish for it, you know what happens. You might as well buy a lottery ticket if that's the case. That's the bottom line, because I just see so many times people just say, oh, I just want to get in this program. I want to get in this and this is going to work. It'll work if you work it, right? It'll work if you work. I haven't been doing this for 3 decades for me to be a constant person that says, oh, this is all you need to do. I tell people the truth, kind of a little bit too raw actually when I'm telling the truth, that that what's going to work. So in terms of how to get PR, I'm going to go over that. If you have questions, exactly how that's done. But one of the main things I want to talk about is relationships and networking. And before you even do anything and you start trying to get the quick fix of buying Facebook ads or creating an opt-in so you could build your email list, or you're going to be doing email marketing, or you're going to do Instagram marketing, or you're going to do podcasting. I'm going to launch a YouTube. Before you do all of that, it's about people. First of all, you have to know, and I'm going to tell you the secret. You have to know who you are, what your messages are, what it is that you offer, and what problem you're solving, and for who. That's it. If you know who you are as a person, what you like to do, what it is that what type of people you like to work with, you know yourself. So that's like some reflective time that you have to really take time with yourself, like be honest, like, am I going to be the person that goes live? I like doing live because this is just in me. I did I did a webinar last week, but the week before I did a webinar, it was 3 hours long, and I was the only speaker. It's just in me. I can't make this up. So this is just who I am because I've been doing it for a while. And even after I was working in corporate, then I had my company. I started my company in 2000. So that's been 24 years that I've been working in my company. Now, I know you see a lot of people like, "Oh, you can make $1 million in less than 30 days." I don't know if that's really true. I mean, we do have the internet and things are a lot easier than when I started, but I always tell people don't believe the hype. Okay. So one of the things is relationships. So you know who you are, what it is that you sell, what problem you're solving, and then you package it in an offer to who? Who it is, who it's for. So if it's generally for me, I'm working with authors and speakers and subject matter experts. So the offer that I put together is PR related, quick media coverage, where they can automatically get into different publications. They can get on podcasts. They can get on other platforms where they share. Ready, set, go, speak. I offer all the time different opportunities for them to speak or awards to win, stages they can be on, media opportunities, articles where they can write to build their thought leadership, which, by the way, thought leadership article just went live on my blog. So you may want to go and check that out on pamperrypr.com/blog. I love to blog. I've been blogging. I look like I've been blogging for about 20 years. So sometimes you could just binge on someone's content on their blog or their YouTube channel or even their podcast, because I think I'm almost on podcast 200 or so on one of my podcasts. But what the point I want to say about now that you know who you are, what it is that you do, who do you do it for, what problem you solve, how it's packaged, how it's priced, how it's positioned, or how you even want to promote it. At this point, I wouldn't say let's just get on TV. Let's just start doing all this promotion. The first thing that I'm going to say that you should do is get some sales. Yeah, because you're gonna need sales. If you're in business, business is not just a hobby, it runs on money. So when I first started, just giving a little bit, one of the first things that I did was go to conferences and doing networking, having people know me. But one of the things that I've always been a part of is affinity groups. Affinity groups are people who have very similar interests. Whether for you it could be a sorority, it could be a fraternity, it could be a professional group. For me, it was always professional groups. If I didn't see a professional group that I really wanted to be a part of, I would create one. So I started groups starting in high school. I always did this. I started a fashion group. I loved a fashion group. So we started the Ladies of Vogue, and that was in high school. And in that group, I was a PR director. I promoted the group, I promoted it out. That was in high school. College, the same thing. There was a lot of different groups, but I wanted to start one for African American women, and it was the National Association of Women in Communications. There was a Women in Communications, but there wasn't one that was a Black chapter, so I started that. And those friends to this day are my journalism friends. We're still friends to this day. Then out of college, started another group, and this affinity group, and now these are all quote unquote volunteer things. So I'm not doing this to get paid. Then I started another group out of college, in my professional career called Blacks in Advertising, Radio, and Television. So people were like, "Oh my goodness, you know so many people." But I always was a giver. I was always a networker. I was always building relationships. You have to build relationships with the media uh, if you want to get press. So that I'll get to that in a minute of how you get media exposure and how you get press. But Blacks in Advertising, Radio, and Television was a professional development group for those that were in advertising, radio, and television. Ran that for roughly about 7 or 8 years. Uh, and that gave away scholarships. We had career conferences at one point in time. We had almost 1,000 people at our career conferences. People were calling from all across the state. We had my mentor there, that was Terry Williams. I really enjoyed having her there. George Frazier was my mentor. At that time, he wasn't my mentor, but I asked him to come. He had a book. And that's probably like the beginning of where I start really falling into my purpose of really enjoying working with authors and speakers. Terry Williams wrote a book called The Personal Touch. It's still out there on Amazon. She did the PR for Janet Jackson and Miles Davis and Grant Hill, a lot of the celebrities in New York, Mary J. Blige. So Terry is retired now, but that's where I met her. And whenever I needed any kind of assistance, and that's the main reason why people are in communities, because they don't know everything, and so you need to know who to ask. It's about the who, not the how, because we can have all the information. We're in the information age, and we have a lot of information. We have to implement the information, but we need to know who to ask for the information and who to ask of even like what it is that I need to do, because we don't need to do everything. Sometimes you just know the right person. You have to know the right person to ask in order to get things done. And that's a part of being like a ready, set, go, speak community. You can always ask me. You can ask me, and more than likely, I'm going to know a resource, have a contact, give you a shortcut, uh, tell you the best way to do it, or just tell you what the wrong way, what you're doing, that I see that you probably need to pivot and change. So when we did this whole thing with BARD, it ran for many, many years. I met most of the media contacts there. We actually started branching out national. And so at this point, I know people who are at the Wall Street Journal to BET to New York Times, anywhere, Oprah producers, meeting all kinds of people because of the relationships. And this was always the main thing when I was doing um, any kind of event, networking. I would always go as a host and not the guest, meaning that the mindset was I was the host, meaning I'm going to serve and help, and not the guest to sit back and wait. That will change your perspective of saying, I'm too shy to go out and network. I'm too shy to go out and meet people. You go as a person that wants to help and assist. Even if you're the person that comes in and say, hey, how are you? You can hang your coat up over there. Oh, just so you know that the drinks are over there and that's where the food is. You're acting like you're giving, and even if you don't know what to do yet, you're giving value. You're going as a host. That is actually the chapter in the book, which I'm not selling or pushing today, but it is available on Amazon. It's called Phenomenal Women Who Boss Up. And my chapter was really on relationships. And I say part of networking that I learned a long time ago is to show up as a host and not a guest. And I learned that from my mentor, George Frazier, who is Mr. Networker. Uh, but it just show up strong and build relationships. And part of it has to do with you, again, knowing who you are, what your purpose is, and why you're here. And that's a whole nother type of philosophical, spiritual uh, thing that I won't get into. But mindset is very important. Knowing who you are, being confident in that, showing up strong in that. So many times people have quote unquote imposter syndrome. And I think people have imposter syndromes. I mean, I hear that a lot. I didn't hear it early in my career, but I think people have imposter syndromes because they just don't do the work. How do you know what isn't working? Uh, you got to try. And so a lot of times we'll just study and study, and we'll be in course after course, and we'll learn who the media is and how to pitch and how to do all these things, but we don't actually activate. So there's this book that talks about the different type of people that you are. I'm an activator. I am that A person. So I will activate, I will figure it out, and I will try. So I never had the imposter syndrome. I will let you know if I don't know, and that dismisses all the imposter syndrome. I'm not trying to pretend that I know something if I don't know. I will try something, and if I fail, then I learn, and I will try again. That will that will bust imposter syndrome right away. I guarantee you. So the thing that I'm saying that now from college, meeting all of the media, that was the big part of it, and from there, really then going into another direction with my business. So at this point, the internet is coming on the scene, but not as much. So I did start another group, and it was American Christian Writers. Ran that for 10 years. And we met at Christian bookstores. And that's when I found, again, from doing the other things, not only did I love media, but I love authors and speakers. So every month I will book speakers and authors. That's where I met a lot of my clients, Michelle McKinney Hammond, Andrea Hall, who's no longer with us, but um, she worked at CNN. She was a weekend anchor. There was because of that, running it for 10 years, when I tell you no pay, right? Every single month, I'm organizing, booking speakers, finding places. It's just mailing out the things, doing the newsletters. I'm always doing the newsletter. Every group I had, just so that you know, and my husband knows this from Bart, I will have a newsletter. That is my thing because I'm about information. I'm about giving information, right? That's my main thing. Hey, Sandra says, yeah, okay. I'll get to your question in a minute. So the newsletters even became at this point, uh, the magazine in high school was this thick, and I was really emulating Susan Taylor at the time. So everybody had to write an article. This is in high school. This is at Cass Tech. So any Detroit people in here, this is at Cass Tech. I'm doing a newsletter, right? I was already on the newspaper staff at the high school, but then I'm gonna do like a other quote unquote like magazine newsletter. Same thing in college. Was on the newsletter for Wayne State for the journalism school, but we also had one for the Black Women in Media group, right? Same thing out of college, with the mailing it, the Blacks in Advertising, Radio and TV, the BART Network at Work did a newsletter, and American Christian Writers, we had a newsletter. And what that was the same thing that I'm doing today in Ready, Set, Go, Speak, is I'm giving information, contacts, leads, explain to people the different conferences and events that are going on, making my network part of your network. That has always been a part of me. This is nothing new. When social networking came on the scene, I was the first one on MySpace. I was probably the first people on Twitter. I love that. I was the first person like getting on LinkedIn. So on each one of those platforms, whether, because I have different I have like 3 Instagrams and 3 Twitters, and I have 4 that Facebook. All together, just network in terms of followers is about 100,000 people. 25,000 just on LinkedIn because you can only have one LinkedIn. But on page, you can have different pages on Facebook. You have different Twitter accounts. You can have different Instagram. Between some Instagrams, I have 10, 3, about 20,000 with all of my Instagram accounts. But part of that is just being a person that wants to share and showcase, promote other people. PAM, if you don't know what that stands for, anybody knows in part of my circle, it's PAM, promote, amplify, and market. Those are the things you do: promote, amplify, and market. But it comes with knowing that step. So ready, set, go, speak. The framework for that is the ready phase. And that's when I talk about the mindset, really busting through the imposter syndrome, making sure you know who you are, your messaging. So in the ready, set, go, speak community, one of the first things that they should do, everybody should do, and Sandra, you should do, is go through the branding accelerator course. That's 12 modules and they build on each other. The first module is really about understanding and really making sure that uh, you are your expertise, that you're showcasing your expertise. There's one thing that I did not do. So I'm going to take a break right now because I just realized that I did not. And then I'm going to come back and tell you a little bit about how the magazine got started and how you can get a part of that as well. So, what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about quick media coverage, and then I'm going to plug in my computer because I would not like for that to die. So, I'll be back right after this. Like I said, I'm an activator. So, I'm plugged in. I'm charged up. So I have a question over here by Sandra. So one of the things that you will see that I will have an opinion. And I pretty much, if it's about marketing, PR, advertising, that's my jam. So her question was that she is at a event. She says, I'm participating at an Alzheimer's event tomorrow on behalf of the Alzheimer's Association at a local church. It says, can you provide any tips on ways I can capture snippets of info or images to help with my brand? After she's off volunteer duty. So obviously you don't do it. I'll tell you this real quick, Sandra, a little tidbit of a story that actually happened. I had a intern that was working with me, and I was covering an event in New York. And I want to say it was for D. Marshall. It was in Women's History Month. Anyway, so I was in one room with the VIPs, and she was in the other room with the rest of the guests. And I said, what I need you to do is to get some video, capture some snippets about what is going on in the room. I said, and I gave you my uh, the login credentials so you can go and post them on social media. I'm in the other room and I'm doing interviews and things like that with my microphone. And so I think we had a little break, and I think we were walking the VIPs into the main room, and I look and she is over there doing her own personal uh, promotion, I guess you would say. And I asked, I said, I haven't seen any pictures. I didn't know what you post. And she said, oh, I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work and da, 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 this and that. And so she's just taking pictures and doing things on her phone. And I'm thinking, like, what is that? So that's a wrong way of, if you are a volunteer, I'm glad you said that, Sandra, that after the duty that you are, there people are counting on you to do, then you go and then you do your own marketing and promotion, but don't do it while they are expecting you to do a particular thing. So yes, so that's it. So one of the main things that you could do is, obviously there's going to be some signage that is from the stage. Now, after your volunteer duty, and ask permission, can you go on stage and just, pose or whatever, just to look like you're on a stage or at the podium or with the microphone. If there are guests there that are the guest speakers, obviously you want to maybe interview them. So if you can interview them, meaning that with your phone, you have your phone and you have someone ask questions, you ask a question, have someone tape you with your phone and you ask them a question, and you get some kind of value in the interview. Now, it can be live or it can be taped, no more than about 3 minutes or so. But that you can then take that and share that on the platforms of your choice. I always say, if you're going to really build uh, some kind of traction, no more than two media outlets, social media outlets at a time. You don't want to be all over the place. I'm in different places because I've been doing this a while. So I can be on Pinterest and LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok, but pick your two and really build out that audience there. So I would definitely interview the guests. You take some pictures with the signage there. the signage of the Alzheimer's Association, the stage if you can. And then also to people love BTS footage behind the scenes. Okay. So any BTS, where you are walking in and you say, and this is live, so this will be live. Say, hey, I'm about to go into the Alzheimer's Association. I'm volunteering. This is what the event is. So those are the kind of things. Okay, the phone is ringing. Um, so I can't talk right now. And so you want to make sure that you do any BTS scenes. If you're in the green room, if you're showing yourself actually there. And you can even share if you do snippets of it of what's going on while you're there of the actual event, right? So you want to promote the event, promote you're there. So if if the event is you know, that way, then you're showing yourself there, right? You're showing yourself speaker, but you're saying like why you volunteer. You're giving a story why you volunteer in your BTS, in your behind the scenes footage that you're collecting. Photos are great, but only get the photos if they're good photos and making sure that the lighting is great. The lighting that you want to always have the lighting in front of you. Even though people like to take photos, it's like, oh, we're going to take a picture by the window, and they stand by the window, and then someone takes a picture. It's bad. Then they're dark, right? So we want to make sure that the light is always in front of you. So that's a little bit about that. How do you strategically leverage social media? That's a good question. The best way to leverage social media, like I said, in order to build the brand, you okay. Let's before we even get into tactics, let's get into like the rationale. Why do people have brands? People trust brands. People who like and trust. So people that people in your phone. You probably got at least 100 people who like you. Okay. That means you're likable. And then they trust you. If you have those three things going, that really gets your business started and ignited. You can sell books, you can get booked to speak, you can get media opportunities. Those are the kind of things because if you have a tribe or a community of at least 100 people, you can get a lot of stuff done. You can always ask, "Hey, do you know anybody that works at this radio station? Do you know anybody that has a conference coming up? Do you know anyone that would be interested in buying my book?" Those are the things that when you are not working in a silo, you can ask because you have a community. And that is so important. That is probably if you don't get anything else, knowing that Pam said that community is more important than social media because social media, people can be fake, people can be not what they say, people are posting and ghosting, people are posting mirages. I mean, so you want to go where people know, like, and trust you, know you in real life. People like you in real life, people trust you. So, but social media is an amplifier for sure. It is an amplifier. So you do want to do the social media behind the scenes, but only the people that know, like, and trust you will probably really pay attention and care anyway. But at least they're seeing what you're doing. So the best way to strategically leverage the major social media, and I say major because most of the people that are in my community are subject matter experts. So the word expert is really good for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional. I call it the grown folks Facebook. Not that Facebook isn't, I mean, Facebook has its way, but when I started on Facebook years ago, we weren't paying to play, meaning that we could post on Facebook and people would see our content. Now you post on Facebook and you got to pay ads, all right? Thousands of dollars on these ads. I have done it once and I have not been a fan. Okay. It's just, that's just me. I like organic. Organic are people that naturally come to you. It's kind of like going to a networking event and then paying someone to say nice things about you. Or do you want to just actually have people get to know you? So, which gives me another thing. There is pay to play, not just in social media, which people can do, and I'm sure that's probably a quick way. Again, people love that magic wand, like, oh, I just want to have 100 people, to follow me. So they'll buy ads and boost ads and all that kind of stuff. They even buy followers, they buy friends. Everything's for sale. But is it no like and trust factor there? Do they trust it? So the other thing that people can buy are stage time. People can buy stage time. So a lot of times it's like, oh, I would like to be on this stage. Now they don't sell TEDx talks. They should not. But people do sell you programs on how to do a TEDx talk, but they can't really guarantee that because TEDx are independently run. So they will show you what it is you need to do to fill out the application, which is the same thing for any kind of speaking application. You need to have the assets, you need to have the message. So people sell to go on stages, people sell awards. They sell awards and but they don't call them like I'm selling an award. Like if you get a lifetime achievement award or you get a honorary doctorate, they don't say I'm selling it, but a lot of times I didn't, I've never paid, but a lot of times they'll say, "Well, this is the processing fee. This is the fee for the application. This is the fee." Basically, it's like $2,500 for the application, and you can have your honorary doctorate, or make a donation to the school, and we'll give you honorary. Like, who does that? Like, that's just not right. But anyway, and also stages. A lot of stages are like, if you like to speak for 10 minutes, is this amount. If you want to speak for 20 minutes, is this amount. We're talking like 500, 1,500, 2,500. I even know that there's some stages that are $30,000 that you pay, not they pay you for your content, but you pay to get on the stage. That is just how, to me, as a publicist who's been doing this for 3 decades, that is a way for someone to just immediately say, I have money and I want to jump to the front of the class. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to build the relationships. I want to just be out there and pay to play. Now, you can even pay to go into Forbes. If you want to write for Forbes or write for Entrepreneur, they have the council, Forbes Council, or the Entrepreneur Network, Writers Network. You pay. And listen, I'm not knocking if you are paying, if that's a quick way for you to do it. But when you work with someone like me as a publicist, someone who is helping position you and promote and, you know, help build your platform, it's building a platform. It's almost like if you were going to run a in a pageant, and the way you win the pageant is by raising the most money. Well, it's pretty unfair because whoever's the richest will win, not necessarily the most qualified, right? So be smart when we're making these type of things. I will say this about, I mentioned the TEDx talk. Be careful about the TEDx talk, because don't let that be the holy grail of everything that, you want your speaking to do. Because before a lot of people were doing TEDx talks, they were speaking on other stages first. So don't let the TEDx talk be your end all be all. Like, if I don't get on TEDx, I'm not a good speaker. You could speak in a lot of different places without it being on a TEDx stage. What TEDx does, obviously, it has a platform, it has a brand, so we know, like, and trust them, right? Because it's been around for a long time, but they built that up over time. So you're kind of riding on the coattail of someone who's built up their brand over time. But what's wrong with building your brand up over time so that people come to you? There's been so many clients that been on the cover of Speakers Magazine. They started, the magazine is now 7 years old, but they started and they did not have the brand that they have now. But it took some time. Alicia Houston is one. She has held events in Antigua, and she's doing another one in South Africa, and another, all around the country. And she has a following, she has clients, and doing very well. Uh, everyone on the cover is not famous when they're on the cover, but it's part of the positioning that they have. Dr. Cheryl Wood. I remember when Cheryl started, and people know her now, but they don't know that Cheryl puts in the work. She's an activator. She will put in the work. She will join a program. She will listen to someone like me. She will follow directions. She will do the work. Even if she has to burn the midnight oil, she will do the work. And people see her now, and it's like, oh my goodness. When she did that event last year, it was amazing. She had Lisa Nichols, Gloria Mayfield Banks, and Trenton Shelton. People don't know behind the scenes. That was so much work. It looked great. People had a great experience. But a lot of times we have to invest where we want to go on the next level. That was a great event. It was a great marketing event. If it made money, was that really the point? No, at this point, it was building her strategically for her next level. But Cheryl has always done, even when she first started, she was doing small networking events. 10, 15, 20 people, eventually went to 30. Then she had 50. Then eventually she had her first conference. She had about 100 people. People think that they can come out and actually be like the big fish. Like, I want to get straight out on Oprah and straight out. I cannot, I promise you, every time somebody writes a book, it's like, I want to get on Oprah. That was like the first 5 or 6 years when I had my company. I was working with brands that were already established. I was working with TD Jakes and Cindy Trim and all of the big gospel celebrities, the Black gospel celebrities. And they had brands already. So those are easier to pitch to stages like that because they already have a brand. So that's where the brand accelerator, which is a part of Ready Set Go Speak, is like building the brand so that you can get to the bigger stages. And positioning yourself is really, really a part of it. Not just taking the courses, not just getting into the groups, but you have to do the work. You have to publish the books. You have to promote the books. Those are part of that. I have a question here. Platforms with your promotional, it says, how do you, okay, it says, it will be outside. Okay. So yeah, so Sandra, if it's outside, it's actually good. Just make sure that the sun is always in front of you and not behind you. So just, look at the sun. If the sun is not in front of you, then you've got to make sure that it is. The other thing is share the online help. Share the online help you get with speakers. The online help. So anyone, this is one of the things I love about Speakers Magazine, is that it's a physical magazine and it's also a digital magazine that you can read, and your speaker reel is embedded or your interview is embedded in the online. Okay, so you could go and read that and read the magazine online, and then the videos are there. So it's good to have um print, but then also when you have online, then you can actually read, you can actually hear them in the video. So it's like embedded. And then it's also on the website. So when it's on the website, that means SEO will find it as well. So you're on there, you have your page as well as your video there as well. So it positions you. So someone is looking online and they're looking like, well, who is Sandra Kaiser? And they put it in and they'll see like, oh my goodness, look at that. She's been in Speakers Magazine. She must be a speaker. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I created the magazine. So I talk about that. So market brought me back to that. That is why I created the magazine, to give people a start for their platform building, for their positioning, for their promotion. And every time you're in this magazine, up at the top, you can share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, uh, LinkedIn, and make that part of your content strategy. Because one of the things, in order to become a brand, that people would say, hey, I know that brand, I trust that brand, is having consistent content. And so when you're in the magazine, you can make that part of your consistent content. You can just once a week hit it and share, and it's like, well, I already shared it once. Listen, how many times have we seen things once and not really paid attention? You gotta, the touch points are 7 times. And I think because people's attention span is so much shorter now, it might be about 14 times. I have a comment over here. It says, yes, build your platform. Um, okay, so now I've got someone over here, they're trying to sell me something here in my own live. Really, let me delete that comment. I don't want to block you, so this is not the time for sales. I'm trying to give value, trying to give information. So I'm not trying to buy anything. And the only thing that I would just invite you to look at is readysetgospeak.com. That is a community where we share all the goods. So if I could dump my brain into someone, I would if I could. But the best I could do is to share my information in a community, in a structure where all the courses are in there. PR Power is in there. The Virtual Media Summit is in there. The PR Power is really a program that is 52 different lessons about PR to get the power. I've been doing this 30 years, so I could probably talk about PR all day, but 52, I figured that was enough. Little mini lessons. The Virtual Media Summit, where I interviewed 9 journalists and I asked them and I pick their brain and says, what is it that you like when people are pitching you? What is it you don't like? How should they pitch you? Do you like email? What would you put in the subject line? What is newsworthy? What makes it timely? What makes it relevant? All the questions are answered from their mouth. Exactly what it is they're looking for. It's found nowhere on the internet. It's only in that spot. The other thing that is in there as well is the digital acceleration tools as well. Like I said, this particular one that I have here is 130 things every business must do to succeed online. That is in there as well. And it's a lot of workbooks like this because, like I said, I've been doing it for a while. There's samples of media kits, samples of press releases, there's templates, there are media kits. There are quick tools because sometimes it's just like if someone could just tell you a tool that would just really just help your life out. So that books we recommend, all the live trainings are in there. And then of course it's the media contacts that people come to me and they always say, do you know anybody that? And so I said, yes, I do. And I put it in a community. And so then people's like, okay, that's someone, there was someone the other day, it was a new magazine and they were looking for content. And so I put that in there for that. And awards. There was award that deadline yesterday that was that people can win. And Vicky Hamilton, who's in there, she's taking advantage of that. She's actually on a cruise right now celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday, Vicky Hamilton, Vicky Wright Hamilton, because she was a part of Speak Sell Shine. She has gotten a lot of this material. She's been on so many interviews and had so many articles written about her, and she's an action taker. So people who are action taker and not waiting for the lottery ticket win or the magic wand, these are the people that will have things that will make happen, and then over time it grows their brand. Um, yes, build your platform, Jeff. That is so important. You know, basically your brand. When people say, "Oh, what is your brand?" It's your reputation. So, what are you known for? When you leave the room, what are you known for? What is your reputation? Are you a person of integrity? Are you a person that people will know to go to for advice? Or a lot of times, what is your brand? It's like, what do people come to you for? What did they come to you for? That is your brand. And then another trick too is just really understand the influencers in your area. Who are the influencers? And this is so important. I I, I I'm just amazed sometimes how people don't do this. This is just what I've always done. Even as a young person in my 20s and even in high school, if there was something I wanted to be, I would go find the people who are the benchmark in that field. And I would then do a reverse engineer of what I think they did if they were starting at this point, how they got to that point. And that's with anything. You find the benchmark in the field, look and study what it is. That's why I love biographies, those kind of things, because you can learn what it is that people do. Everybody has a different path, obviously, but you can learn from other people. They're like your mentors in your head that you can go and emulate. So a lot of times you can find out it's so much easier now. You can go on Amazon. Sandra, if there's any books that you know that are on the subject that you speak on, go in Amazon, put that keyword across the top, and look at all the people who pop up first, second, and third. Right? They're going to rank them. Amazon will rank them. You'll see their uh, reviews of the books, what people comment on. You want to know your industry. If you're a subject matter expert, you need to know your area. If you're a photographer, you want to know who are the top photographers. You want to know where are they hanging out. Are they in any associations? Maybe they're in associations. Maybe they're at conferences. Where do they speak? Maybe you want to speak there. It's just so much. When I was, like I said, I met Tara Williams, my mentor. I knew that I wanted to be a PR firm and I wanted to know who was the largest African American PR firm. Did a quick couple of questions and asked some people and found out Terry Williams was because she did all the celebrities. So I was like, I'm going to read her book. Now, did I call her up on the phone immediately? No, she was in New York. I didn't, knew she was busy, but I did really at a certain point in time, I wrote her a letter. I told her that I read her book and I told her that I really enjoyed, you develop a relationship. Again, we go back to that again. You develop relationships. And so many times we get so much information that comes to us that we don't know how to process all the information, and we're taught, our brain is taught to ignore information. And then I think that translates to people ignoring people as well. So a lot of times when people are upset that they have a launch or they're doing an event or they're doing this kind of thing or they have a book and nobody buys it and nobody shows up and it's like you didn't put anything in the bank to make a withdrawal. It's like, honey, you didn't put anything in the bank. You had nothing to withdraw. So if you are putting in something, and Jeff knows this full well, if you put enough into the bank, you could go and make a withdrawal. And so he is about networking. We have an event coming up in June with the Black Door Society, and then also doing it with Jeff as well, where we're doing a private event. Jeff is doing photos. We're actually talking about a brand workshop, a mini brand workshop of how to pose on the red carpet and how to pose, period, or how to really talking sound bites. Sharon's going to be there, Morton as well. So a lot of, she's from SiriusXM. So a lot of these people are my friends, and we're just sharing with our friends information that we know will take people into the next level. Um, what's the difference between PR and publicity? So PR is the industry, I guess you would say. Publicity is actually the one thing, because the PR could also be crisis management, which is part of public relations, but it's definitely not publicity. So, like, PR is what Donald Trump would need right now. I don't think he needs publicity. He got enough publicity. He needs PR, and part of PR under that, some of those things would be crisis management, right? So those are some of the things here. So if you kind of like that. This is the other thing too. I'm working with a couple of clients, and they have Gerald McBride has a movie that's debuting today, and so he was in the Free Press. He was on ABC and Flynn. He's going to be on WWJ Radio. He was on some other radio stations. He was in Entertainment Post. These were all over the last few weeks, and you know how movies are. You know, he had some far out stuff like in February, but now it's in May. He's actually, he's been doing like a junket, right? He's doing like a junket. So we've been going with him and taking pictures of him at the CBS stations and all the different TV stations. So it's only so much you could say, like, I got a movie, I got a movie. People need to see BTS, right? Behind the scenes. They need to see what it is. Like Sandra, like I told you, BTS. So one picture we had of him on the set, I think it was at CBS, and another one at Fox, a video of him. And people love that more because they just say, oh man, you're on CBS, you're on Fox, you're on ABC. Blah, blah. So those are the things, like, what's going on? Got a movie. Been working on a movie for the last year, but now all of a sudden you see me talking on television, and now and I posted on social media because they didn't see it on television, right? That's the other thing. Most people aren't sitting around watching TV. They'll see your post that you were on TV. So you want to make sure that you do that. And so his movie debuts tonight. I think he sold out a couple of theaters. I think he's in Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, Minneapolis, Dallas. That's for right now. That's like the first run. And he was also in the Detroit Free Press as well. So media begets media. You hear me talk about that all the time. The more media that he gets locally, that he posts and shows, that means other reporters will see it as well. And then they reach out and they make calls as well. But he also is good on relationships because he's been a radio icon. He was on my podcast, Get Out There, Get Known, on my YouTube channel, where he actually was talking about his relationships that he had with Rochelle Riley, who had been at the Free Press 30 years, or just the different. He was on Mason's show because he's been in the industry. And we talked about relationships. And now at this point, he's always poured into other people and always helped other people. And now they're helping him. Very simple, right? That's like basic, the things we learn in kindergarten, right? Those are everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten. It's about how to be nice, treat people nice, and you be nice. That's kind of like the bottom line for a lot of things. In terms of really understanding, when I said that Gerald was on ABC, Fox, CBS, I will say this too about when you see people say as seen in. You will see people will have these as seen in logos. This is another thing the internet has done is so they weren't actually on television. So if you ask them, oh, you're on ABC, send me the link so I can see you. No, they were on a website. Each television station has a website where they can post press releases because they're trying to get content. So ABC affiliate, NBC in Nebraska, ABC in Alaska, right? They'll have a website where they can post your press release once you put it on the wire. You can put it on Access Wire, EIM Wire, PR Log, PR News Wire. There's so many wires. Black News. Those are wire services. The wire services are disseminated out to all of the stations, and then the stations then take the content if it's written well. They don't just take junk if it's written well. And most of the time, mines are always picked up because I've been writing press releases for 30 years. So the press releases are written and they're actually put on the affiliates of these stations, the same content on all the stations. So when you see someone say, as seen in CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox, it's not necessarily that they have been in there. It's not that they've been in there. It's the fact that they had a press release that was there. So don't be fooled by that. I did want to make sure that I said that. The other thing, the TEDx talk, please make sure that you don't make that the goal, that you are, if you want to become a brand in demand, the things that you really want to do is just create excellent content. You want to make sure that you have excellent content, that you have, you know, the niche that you're going after, that you build a community with that particular target market, with that niche. You find also too that you are engaging. So when I say build a community, how do you find a community? You want to make sure that when they post, you say comment. That when you retweet, that you're engaging, that you're being social. Social. uh, there was a movie out a long time called The Social Network. It wasn't called The Social Marketing. It was called The Social Network because it was networking. Zuckerberg created Facebook to network. He was basically, it was for college students to kind of like figure out how to connect and date. And the networking then became a marketing tool because we need to get in front of people. I get it. That's not like I'm against social media. Obviously, I'm not. But the whole point of it, it started out as a social network. So those are the things that I want to do. The thing I want to say too about some of my clients, that it takes them a while for people to really find out their niche. This is one client, Geneva Williams. So Geneva came to me without a brand, right? A brand. She had a brand in one area, but she wanted to position and pivot to another. So one of the first things I always say is write a book. So her book is Living Life Over 50. She retired from nonprofits. She'd been with United Way Community Service, and people knew her as that. Well, eventually she wanted to do some other things. She just wanted to have fun. So eventually we did all the steps that I outlined in the Branding Accelerator course in Ready, Set, Go, Speak. And then she became a billboard. Here she is here. She became the Vibrant Life Coach. You can see her living a vibrant life. This is HAP, which is a Health Alliance plan. And she is, we actually put together her, connect her with an agent so that she can get anyway, the long story is that there were a lot of steps before she got to be a billboard, but she did get to do a billboard. One of the things too was making sure that she was ready. So the Ready, Set, Go, Speak puts you in that phase of being ready, having all the set phase, all the marketing materials. She had the one sheet, she had the photos. We did her first photo shoot together. Branding is photos, but branding is not entirely photos. So you want to have some other content as well. That's why she did the book. And she built a community called Women, Extraordinary Women Leaders on Facebook. And she was so anti any social media, but now she's in it. She's doing TikToks and Instagram. She's got like a strong following. And eventually now she's also working with the governor. And she is head of their women's entrepreneurial group as well. So it is, I've been going on. I got one, and it said, what's the difference? Yeah, Sandra said LOL. So I've been going on for a while, but I want to make sure that everyone knew exactly what it is that, PR marketing, how do you get out there and get known, what's really involved. Like I said, I was ranting a little bit, but just want to make sure that people don't get taken, and knowing that it does take a while for anything. And then, you got to work for it. You just can't wish for it, right? You got to work for it. So if you put in the work, it will happen. The thing, and and the main thing I want to say is that relationships, if you're going to work on anything, work on relationships. Work on being nice. Even if you have a small tribe of, say, 25 people, those are your ride and die. You can get a lot done with a small group of people. You really can. Instead of trying to collect like thousands and thousands on your email list, then people don't know you. They don't care. But you have 25, or how they used to say, what are your favorite five? You're the five people that you hang around. who your faith on, make sure those people are the people that are going to up level you, encourage you, inspire you. Make sure that they are the ones that do that. And don't worry so much too about like, should I start a podcast? Get on podcast first before you start anything. I always do that. Get on podcasts, get on YouTubes, get in. Should I do a magazine? Get in magazines, write for magazines. So you want to make sure that you're doing those kind of things first before you kind of get out here and just stress yourself. But I will say that if you want to be a part of the journey to build your brand the right way, Ready, Set, Go, Speak. Um, .com. Go there, join our community for 1 year. You get in Speakers Magazine. You get on different articles that are written on you, and you just really start jump starting your whole platform building. And it will media begets media. You share them, put them on your website like Sandra has done. I saw, Sandra, that you did that. Very good job. Making sure that you have a media page. So then when people do want to book you, they can see your Amazon Live. They can see that you have some podcasts. They can see some content that you're serious. Okay. A lot of people will wish for something and they're not really serious. So you want to make sure that you are the serious one and they see that you are consistent. Consistent. Don't be like jumping all over the place, and do things in the right order. Do things in sequence. You can't go out and say, "Oh, I want to do an event and then I'm going to have like 500 people there." And you have never had an event with anybody there. So doing things in sequence and managing the expectations. But the main thing is really looking at your influencers, getting mentors, and really being part of the community. That is so, so important. So, with that, I just thank you all for joining us today. And if you want quick media coverage, that is something that we offer as part of Ready, Set, Go, Speak as well. So, I would say if I were you, that's what I would do. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where we help you shine like a superstar.
I will say that I have been saying that tagline probably for about 15 years. Pam Perry PR, where we help you shine online like a superstar. So, with that, I'm out of here.